You're listening to The Bon Marie Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to The Bon Marie Show on Irish News Radio or ITV.ie. You're listening to The Bon Marie Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today, we will be talking about Islam. As it's Gruesome Tuesday, we will be talking about horrific, disgusting practices in Islam. So we'll start off with hasn't gone long where it's caught on in Ireland already. So there was a teacher arrested and charged for molesting a 6-year-old child in a Dublin mosque. So let's go into it. So he molested the child, and he said he was doing a practice called wadua, which is which means basically he was washing her, showing her how to wash. Now there's a few different names, and we'll go into the different names and what it means to wash a child. Now this is pretty disturbing, and the reason why you have to wash, which we'll go into now. What's most likely is the mother is very naive. From what I can read through the article, she's obviously Irish and married a Muslim, because though if she was a Muslim, she would know what this practice is, and she would know why he was doing it, and she wouldn't know any different to be bringing him to court, because this is Islam and women don't have any rights, they don't have any value. So this is why I suspect that the mother is Irish. Now what it is, it's an Islamic ritual procedure which is washing the body, called wudu, and it's been teaching, it's also to do with, he says that he was teaching her how to do this, and he kissed her as if it was his own daughter. He denies putting his tongue down her throat. Now, why would the child know, or even suggest he put his tongue, like how would she even know she was 6? And the other thing is kissing his own daughter. Muslim men often that wouldn't be because women have no value. So I mean, I'm sure he does stick his tongue down his own child's throat, so I wouldn't put that past him. Now what it's supposed to be is you're supposed to be on this wudu. It's supposed to be washing parts of your hand, your mouth, your nostrils, arms and head and feet before praying or going near the Quran. Presumably, normally, the parents would be doing this sort of. There's other names. There's tashama, which you're supposed to wash if you have no water with sand or dust. Bath is obligatory after you have wet dreams. So these are the reasons to do with sex that he would had to wash, or showing her how to wash, or after sexual intercourse, which is quite worrying. Wash semen even if it's not through intercourse. So it's quite at one point the child bride of Muhammad, she describes how she was washing semen off his clothes. And she was not 6 when she married him, or when he married her, and he practiced something called thawing on the child. Now I'd be quite worried that's what was happening to this child, because she was complaining that she had pains down there. Now maybe, after he molested her, so I'd say he was fondling her, which in Islamic practice is tying as well. So that would be quite worrying, and if her mother is Irish, she's unlikely to know about this. practice. So I would say that the child, he probably didn't enter her. But I would say he practiced tying and fondling on the child, because this is what Muhammad did. Um, so they was to wash the semen. So if he was thinking that way anyway, he, so any type of cum. And the other thing they go on to say, when a kafir becomes a Muslim, I'm thinking she's half. She must be half. They have to practice in something grishla or wada, which is performed like Muhammad liked to fondle young girls rather than women. Elisha was made wash Muhammad's cum stains off his clothing. Even though he had 11, now some reports say 11 wives, other ones say nine wives. And he was even sleeping with sex slaves. Caught sleeping in sex slaves of one of his wife's beds. So it's quite disgusting. If the Muslims try and cover this up and say, oh, he had the strength of 30 men, like imagine 11 wives, he was sleeping with them. Now, during the day and night, all sexuals, but there's indications that there wasn't all sexual intercourse, that he just seemed to come an awful lot, like through thighing. He is a pretty disgusting character. He's like a sex beast. He seems to really like young children. So this is why Muslims normalize sex with children, because of Muhammad. He has a pure hatred for women in general, young girls to women. You're listening to The Bon Marie Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. So we're talking about the disgusting practices in Islam, because it's gruesome. Tuesday today, as this child who was molested in a mosque in Dublin. Just going through what Muhammad said, and when he was talking about women when they were having their periods, it was harmful for men to have sex with them, because no, harmful for the man, not the woman. While his wife is having mensa, to keep away from her during this mensa, and not turn onto them until they have purified. So again, it's this implication that women are dirty, that they're not good, and men need to keep away, so that he won't become like infected by her dirtiness. So until she's purified from her menses, then go on to them. Allah has ordained for you, so go on to them, because they have no value. You can just go and have sex with her when she likes. At one point, he even mentions, because he's such a pervert, he's such a sick, deprived, sexual, disgusting. They talk about in the hadith about anal sex. Now, some of Islamic so-called scholars say that it's haram to have anal sex. Other ones say, well, if the female is on her mensa, that it's better to have anal sex with her than to have her periods. It's just so deprived. This whole book is so disgusting. The 3 books is just unbelievably sick. If you never believed in the devil, after reading this, you certainly will, because Muhammad was as close to the devil as you can understand. It's just absolutely it's disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. His view on women and children is just deprived after deprived. He's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So That's our topic on today. And the fact that he views women with so low esteem. It's like, if you have to wash after you've been in contact with a woman to purify herself because she's almost like she's dirty, she's not worthy. And that he had 9 wives. Some of them say he had 11 wives, but he still managed to sleep with sex slaves. So this child in Dublin, that was his excuse, that he was teaching her how to wash. They're the reasons why they have to wash if they're in their contact with women. So my fear for this child, he thied her because he was showing her how to wash. And they're the types of washing for if there's been some sort of sexual activity. So he either has thied her, but he's done more than just molesting, fondling, and she probably didn't have the words for it. And the mother being, I would guess, pretty much 100%, I would guess, she's Irish. So because otherwise she wouldn't even be brave enough to bring this to court. Because she knows that the Islamic community, including the women, will turn on her if she goes to court and says Iman was molesting her daughter. Like, even her own husband, who she is married to, will turn on her. She has no idea what she has entered, like a lot of stupid Irish women that have never heard of taqiyya, have never heard of kitman, have never heard that this is okay for them to lie as long as it's advancing Islam. So the fact that they will have no problem with her daughter being raped because her daughter is not worth anything because she is a female. And the fact that the woman has ruined the male reputation would be worth more in Islam. And that would be more what they would be shocked at, that woman would go to court and tarnish the man's name rather than the child was molested. And that, whether you like it or not, that is how they think. Even in the court that he says he lifted her up because she got some reading right and kissed her. But she, the child, pushed his hand down to her thigh. She, the child, did that. Now, as if a child would be able to push a grown man's hand down, number one, or two, even think about it. But think about that, he implying that the child was dirty, that, she was thinking of sexual needs, that she wanted her hand down, and that's the only reason why his hand was down, because she putting the full blame on the child. Like, this is disgusting, and people don't see it or refuse. And there will be no feminists coming out for this child. There will be nobody coming out for her. And then he gets a suspended sentence, which is shocking in itself. The child's life, the mother says, can't sleep and she can't do, she's nervous and all this. She's definitely Irish, the mother, because a Muslim woman would be terrified to say this because she could end up with a fatwa. And that is the reality of Islam, a fatwa on her head, because she said this. And she could end up with her husband divorcing her because his family could say, put pressure on him too, or the fact that she's done it. I'm surprised that she was even allowed to bring it to court, because this is normal in Islam. It's not that this is any shock to any Muslim. It's only the stupid kafas who are converting think that this is like people like Sinead O'Connor, who has no idea. She cannot leave. This is not something you can pick up and put down. This is not like the time she decided to become a priest. There is, once you enter it, the sentence for leaving Islam is death. Now in the West, obviously you can't have that because you don't have Sharia law. But if they had Sharia law and they are growing in the UK, they can still kill you for doing that, especially on a high profile like Sinead O'Connor. If she does something stupid like she's done in the Catholic Church, like rip up pictures or anything like that, they will come and they will kill her. And that's the best that we can hope out of this situation, because they could decide if she does anything stupid, tear pictures of Muhammad up, they could actually bomb the shit out of Dublin. And that is the reality. This is Islam. This is not a game. It is not a religion. It is an ideology. And even when they're telling you themselves, the practicing of washing. Like everything from the time you get out of the bed till the time you go back into the bed. How you dress, what you wear, how you eat, where you eat. It is all dictated to you. This is Islam. Like, it's disgusting and horrible, and this poor child, but there will be many more cases to come like this in Ireland, because, and it's not that people think, you know, the leftists are like, they're like want proof that it's right, but a lot of them are not that stupid. A lot of them know exactly what's coming. They don't care. They want the destruction of Ireland, and they're just hoping by the time you all wake up, it'll be too late. And this is only part of their plan. The Islam and the destruction of children and females is only part of it. Because once you're so broken, you're easy to trample on. And that's what they're hoping. But the only good thing about the Irish, they tend to fight better on their knees. And when they're so broken, they tend to be better at fighting, unlike other races that once you break them, you break them. The only good thing I will say about the Irish is when they tend to be broken, they fight even harder. So let's hope for that, because this is not going to be the first. And he was let out, a suspended sentence because of good behaviour, as long as he doesn't behave badly again. In Islam, that is not bad behaviour. That is not even what you have done, is accused him in Islam and tarnished his name, is more bad behaviour. They don't care what the courts, because their courts under God is more important, under their Allah, with God is the greatest. That is more important to them than what they call man-made laws. For them, this is fine. She's female. She has no worth. They can do this to her, and that is not a problem. But you go into court and saying this, that is what they see as bad. And she will, the mother will have some comeback from the Islamic community. And that is where it gets all very messy, and the leftists don't want to know. But that'll happen again, and that child will go on, and it'll happen to her again. And what will happen to him? Nothing. And he'll go on to molest, rape, even gang rape hundreds like they have in the UK. Because this is Islam. It's a disgusting piece of 3 books full of a pervert, a paedophile pervert. And that is why all of this is happening. And that's why nobody speaks out. And that's why there's marriages taking place with children in Islamic countries. Even in Australia, there's been marriages taking, and that's Western country. They found out, because it's very hard to get the information out, because the leftists and the idiots are protecting the Islamic communities and allowing them marry these children. Trying to stop it, yeah, and they get found out. But for the very few, they just seem to get through because the leftists want to. There was one, she was saying about in the UK about them marrying whatever amount of wives, and they're all claiming this amount of money and whatever. And it said, well, they all called Muhammad whatever. They all have the same name. A bit like the gypsies in Ireland was a complaint. That it's very hard to track them down. If they all are called Muhammad and the son is called whatever, and they all have similar surnames, it's very hard to track them down. They don't know who is who. And because there's not real marriage registered, so one woman, she gets Islamic married, but that means nothing because he can't register. He divorces her, he can take her house, she can be left on the street, and he can take her children because a lot of those women are married off in Pakistan or wherever. And she may not even speak English, may not have a word of English, so she's left in the house. And then when he decides to divorce her, she's left without a house, and it can be a council house, and he can get that. And he gets all her money as well, all the children's allowance. And the taxpayers, the British taxpayers, are paying for all of this. Thank you for listening on the Tuesday gruesome story. Tomorrow we have Elvis again, who will be talking about the Hadith, the fantastic Elvis, who grew up in Iran as a Christian, so he knows full well of the full implication of Islam coming into any country, and what it does is take your culture, your identity, your language, and destroys everything. And what is left is Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Afghanistan. That is the future of Ireland and the UK. He's talking from the UK. There is a future. The UK are already there. There's some areas in the UK that have no Indigenous British left. They've completely left. Thank you for listening again on the Bonry Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. If you want to contact anything we've talked about, please do on irishnews.net. Thank you again on the Bonry Show.
You are listening to Irish News Radio and irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.